We often think success is built through massive leaps, big risks, or once-in-a-lifetime breakthroughs. But the truth is, real transformation happens quietly in the small moments that no one sees. The morning you choose to get up when you'd rather stay in bed, the decision to walk instead of scroll, the one extra page you read when your mind says stop. The world celebrates the result, but the brain rewires itself through repetition, not recognition. Success is not a lightning bolt, it's a slow sunrise. Every small habit you repeat becomes a vote for the person you're becoming. The brain, in its infinite adaptability, doesn't care whether the habit is good or bad. It simply follows what's familiar. That's why small, consistent habits matter so much. They teach your mind that change isn't chaos, it's safety. And once change feels safe, it becomes sustainable. You don't need to overhaul your life, you need to master the next 5 minutes. The science behind this is astonishing. Inside your brain, every repeated action strengthens a pathway called a neural circuit. Imagine it like a trail in the forest. The first time you walk it, it's rough and overgrown. But if you keep walking it daily, the path becomes clear, smooth, and easy to follow. The same thing happens with habits. The more often you perform them, the less resistance your brain offers. This is called automaticity, when your behavior becomes your default setting. That's how small habits become your identity. Think of brushing your teeth. You don't motivate yourself to do it, you just do, because your brain has linked that behavior with who you are. The key to success is applying that same principle to your goals. Want to get fit? Make moving your body an identity, not an event. Want to become confident? Practice speaking kindly to yourself every morning. Want to build discipline? Start keeping tiny promises you make to yourself. Confidence doesn't come from perfection, it comes from self-trust. And self-trust is built by showing up repeatedly, especially when no one's watching. Most people fail not because they don't try, but because they overcommit. They start too big. They want to meditate for an hour, read 50 books, change everything overnight. The brain rejects that level of change because it feels unsafe. But start small, ridiculously small, and your nervous system will adapt. That's the power of what behavioral scientists call the 1% rule. Improve by just 1% every day, and within a year, you're 37 times better. 1% seems invisible, but compounding makes it inevitable. Imagine if you did 1 push-up today, 2 tomorrow, 3 the next. It seems trivial, but you're building momentum, and momentum is magic. Once you start moving, the hardest part is over. In physics, an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion. The same law governs behavior. Your job is not to finish, your job is to begin. You don't need to climb the mountain today, you just need to lace your shoes. The real transformation happens when you stop waiting for motivation and start relying on systems. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are fickle. Systems are habits structured with clarity. They remove decision fatigue. You don't think about whether to do it, you just follow your plan. Want to write? Set a timer for 10 minutes and write without judgment. Want to exercise? Put your shoes beside the bed so there's no barrier between thought and action. These are small anchors, environmental cues that make your brain's job easier. The less energy required to start, the more likely you are to continue. That's why Mel Robbins says motivation is garbage. You don't wait for it, you act first, and the feeling follows. Because every small habit triggers what scientists call dopamine feedback. Dopamine isn't just the pleasure chemical. It's the motivation molecule. It rewards completion, not contemplation. Each time you complete a small habit, your brain gets a tiny hit of dopamine. That reward loop reinforces the behavior. Over time, you crave the action itself. This is how small changes become permanent. But here's where most people go wrong. They confuse consistency with perfection. They think missing a day means they've failed, when in truth, missing once changes nothing. Missing twice starts a pattern. The key is never missing twice. If you skip a habit, simply restart the next day. That's how professionals operate. They don't rely on perfection, they rely on recovery. Habits are not about streaks, they're about standards. Every time you restart, you prove to your brain that you're reliable. That's what builds resilience. Think of it this way, the goal is not to become flawless, it's to become flexible. A person who can miss and resume will always outlast someone who gives up because they slipped. Consistency is built on compassion, not punishment. You don't bully yourself into discipline, you nurture it through small wins. Every small win releases dopamine, confidence, and clarity. That's the compound interest of progress. Now, let's talk about habit stacking. Habit stacking is linking a new behavior to an existing one. It's one of the fastest ways to build momentum because it uses your brain's natural patterns. For example, after you brush your teeth, you might say one line of gratitude. After you pour your coffee, you might visualize your top goal. After you open your laptop, you might take one deep breath to center yourself. The cue already exists, you're just adding intention to it. The brain loves predictable sequences. When you attach meaning to an existing habit, it's easier to automate. Over time, your life becomes a chain of positive triggers. Each one leads naturally into the next. You stop fighting for motivation because your environment starts pulling you forward. That's when change feels effortless. But make no mistake, simplicity doesn't mean weakness. The smallest habits are often the hardest to keep because they lack drama. There's no applause for drinking water, no medal for 10 minutes of journaling. But that's the paradox. The less visible the habit, the more powerful its compound effect. Every small decision is like a drop of water. Alone, it seems insignificant, but over time, those drops carve canyons. The quiet repetition of small habits sculpts your character. It's not about intensity, it's about frequency. Your life changes the moment you stop asking for results and start asking for repetition. You become the kind of person who does the right thing, not because it's dramatic, but because it's automatic. And that identity, that quiet reliability, is what makes success inevitable. Part 2 will take this deeper. We'll explore how to design your environment for discipline, how to measure progress without burnout, and how to turn daily repetition into unstoppable identity. But remember this, the most powerful change you'll ever make will look small at first. Keep doing it anyway, because small habits don't just change your schedule, they change your brain. You've already learned that small habits create big change. Now let's go deeper, because knowing the principle is one thing, but living it every day requires strategy, self-awareness, and patience. Most people give up on small habits not because they're too hard, but because they're too quiet. There's no instant gratification, no applause, no visible reward, but that's exactly why they work. They train you to fall in love with the process, not the prize. When you learn to value showing up more than showing off, you become unstoppable. The truth is, change hides in the boring moments. The brain learns through repetition and reward, not excitement. If you can make boredom your ally, you can master anything. The greatest performers in the world, athletes, writers, artists, aren't the most talented, they're the most consistent. They've learned that mastery isn't built in inspiration, it's built in repetition. The moment you stop needing every habit to feel amazing is the moment your life starts to transform. Because discipline is doing what matters even when it's not exciting. So let's talk about design, how to build an environment where small habits grow naturally. You can't rely solely on willpower, it's a depleting resource. But environment is constant. If you want to eat better, put healthy food where you can see it. If you want to read more, leave the book on your pillow. If you want to use your phone less, charge it in another room. Don't fight your environment, shape it. Because your surroundings are silent partners in every choice you make. Studies show that 45% of our daily actions are automatic, triggered by cues, not conscious thought. That means if you control your cues, you control your life. Small habit, massive leverage. Now let's talk about tracking, not to judge yourself, but to build awareness. What you measure, you master. You don't need fancy apps or complex systems. A simple notebook or digital checklist will do. Write your habit, mark a check when you complete it. The act of tracking creates a micro dopamine reward. It says, I'm doing it. I'm making progress. And progress, no matter how small, fuels momentum. Momentum is the invisible force behind all achievement. Once you start moving, even slightly, the energy multiplies. The hardest push is always the first one, but once you build rhythm, you glide. Think of a plane. It uses 80% of its fuel to take off and only 20% to stay in the air. Habits work the same way. The takeoff is hard, but once consistency takes over, maintenance becomes effortless. The secret is to never quit during takeoff. That's where most people stop, right before the breakthrough. They underestimate how close they are to effortless consistency. So when you feel resistance, remind yourself, this discomfort is the cost of entry to freedom. Growth always feels awkward before it feels automatic. There's another powerful mindset to add here: identity before outcome. Instead of saying, I want to be healthy, say, I'm becoming a person who moves every day. Instead of, I want to be confident, say, I'm a person who speaks with self-respect. Why does this matter? Because your brain acts in alignment with who it believes you are. When you change your identity, your behavior follows. This is what Mel Robbins means when she says, you're one decision away from a different life. Every small action reinforces your new identity. Every time you choose growth over comfort, your brain updates the story it tells about you. And soon, you stop pretending to be disciplined, you simply are. Now, let's discuss resilience, the ability to keep your small habits alive through chaos. Life will interrupt you, you'll travel, get sick, feel unmotivated, face setbacks. That's normal. The secret is to have a bare minimum habit version for bad days. If you can't do your full workout, just stretch for 2 minutes. If you can't journal a page, write 1 sentence. If you can't meditate for 10 minutes, breathe consciously for 30 seconds. That small action protects your momentum. You send a message to your brain. We still show up no matter what. That's how habits survive storms, not through perfection, but persistence. Think of these small actions as emotional anchors. They remind you that you're in control even when everything else feels uncertain. Control builds confidence, and confidence builds consistency. Now let's address the myth of motivation once more. People often say, I just don't feel motivated. But motivation isn't the fuel, it's the feedback. It comes after action, not before it. You don't wait to feel inspired, you act your way into inspiration. The moment you start moving, your mind catches up. Every small action is a spark, and sparks become fire. The reason you failed in the past isn't because you're broken, it's because you were waiting for a feeling instead of creating one. So stop waiting. Start doing. Action is the antidote to anxiety. Every time you move, you teach your brain that you're not powerless. You are the cause, not the consequence. You're not stuck, you're practicing. Every habit is practice for who you're becoming. And that's why the small ones matter most. They're the building blocks of your identity. Now imagine yourself 6 months from now if you simply stick with 1 or 2 tiny habits. 5 minutes of reading, 2 minutes of breathing. 1 act of kindness. That's not fantasy, that's math, because the compounding effect is exponential. The first few weeks, nothing seems different. Then one day you wake up calmer, clearer, stronger, and you realize the change didn't happen overnight. It happens silently, 1 repetition at a time. That's the beauty of small habits. They work in the background while you live your life. You don't have to manage them forever, they'll eventually manage you. You'll start defaulting to the person you always wanted to be, and that's the ultimate freedom when good choices become automatic. But there's a final step most people forget: gratitude for progress. Celebrate your small wins. Each time you complete your habit, take a breath and say, I did that. It sounds simple, but it matters. Gratitude strengthens the neural link between effort and reward. It keeps you emotionally invested in your growth. When you feel proud, you repeat the behavior. So let yourself feel it. You deserve that acknowledgement. You're not just changing your habits, you're changing your relationship with yourself. You're proving to your own mind that you can rely on you, and that is the most powerful transformation of all. So as you end this video and start your day, remember, the smallest actions often carry the biggest consequences. Drink the water. Read the page, take the walk, write the sentence, breathe the breath. Do it not because you have to, but because it's who you are. You are becoming someone consistent, someone clear, someone powerful through simplicity. Big change isn't built overnight, it's built every day, quietly, through the repetition of small habits that honor who you're meant to be. So keep going, keep showing up, keep voting for the future you. Because one day you'll look back and realize those tiny habits didn't just change your days, they changed your destiny. This is Evolve with Clarity, reminding you that growth doesn't happen in leaps, it happens in layers. Understand. Evolve, thrive.